The last time that we saw Juliet, she was jumping off the side of the silo like she was Batman with no prep time. And let's face it, Jules, she's not Batman. Hello, everyone. Terrence here with Hollywood Already Did It. If you haven't already, go ahead, like, share, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, ring that bell below. Anytime we have something, you will be among the first to know. We are at the penultimate episode of Silo, called The Getaway, which this whole episode has Jules kind of on the run. Although I will say, for her to be on the run the entire time, I never really feel like the intensity level is ratcheted up that much where I feel like she's in the danger. I felt like that was more in some episodes before. This time she's on the run, and it's more of a fact-finding mission. People are sort of like getting that last bit of hidden stuff peeled back so that their eyes are completely wide open. Jules jumps off the building and she's injured. Clearly, she's bum knee. She's hopping along, but she manages to get away. Sims and Billings go to find her, and they got nothing. They get completely lost. To which, at that point, Sims sort of questions Billings. It's like, hey, did you let her go? Like, did you do this? Billings like, you think I would let her go? Somebody who is as steadfast as he is on the pack. He's a rule follower, not a rule breaker. So even if he did think that Jules was the correct person to sort of arrest or was in the wrong, he still would have had her go through the due diligence. So the fact that Sims would think that is sort of, you can tell that he's a bit of a hothead at this moment, but Billings takes offense to that. Like, no, of course I didn't let her go. Sims goes to regroup with Bernard and come up with like where could she be, and they really have no leads. So their goal is to have Sims sort of lapdog and the Raiders go hunt down all the people that know or have close ties to Jules. So they send some folks down to Mechanical, harassing people down there. Don't get anything. Billings goes home to his wife to kind of get some sympathy, and she gives him none. She is showing no sympathy at all for him. In fact, kind of lays into him and says, hey, look, real talk. You can just go get a job back at Judicial. Go do what you were doing. You're good at it. You can do well, and you can provide a living for us. Or your alternative is to tell them the truth, and they take your ass out there and have you go outside. Like the last deputy that kind of stepped in it. And unlike them, you have a daughter and a family to worry about. And so make better life decisions is pretty much what she's saying. And he hears her, but he's like, that's not fair. And he wants to say that he's not defined by his mistakes, and he wants to be able to correct them. And he also wants to say he's not defined by this handicap. He's allowed to make mistakes, and he's going to go try to correct them. So he gathers his things and he goes out to try to find Jules, because he's the one who let her go. He feels like he should be the one to go bring her back in. The Raiders go check out the nursery where Peter Nichols, Dr. Nichols, Jules' dad, is at. And they start to kind of like make some noise around the nursery, and they just got some babies down. And Peter's like, you need to get up out of here. At which point Sims is like, yeah, I probably should leave up out of here. This person who is a father kind of is like, yeah, let me have a conversation with Peter. So he pulls Peter out. They have a combo. And he's kind of trying to get to warn Peter, like, if you know where your daughter is, you need to go ahead and let me know. And Peter's kind of like, warnings are useless to me. Like, I already know what this is all about, or at least I know if you're coming to me, I know what this warning is. You don't have to give me one of those. To which Sims is sort of like, yeah, you're probably right. I don't have to get you one. Do you know where your daughter's at? He honestly doesn't. Even if he did, I don't know if he necessarily would have given that information. But he's like, you're not. If you were in my situation, Sims, and you guys have taken away my wife, taken away basically everything from me, you think I'm going to give up the one thing that I do truly care about? Sims is like, yes, I would. In that predicament, I would do it because I'm all about the silo. But he's like, nah, cool. Maybe you're a better man than me. But what he essentially says is like, look, I haven't talked to Jules in years until about 2 weeks ago. I don't know her well enough to know where she would go hiding or where she is or this and that. And Sims believes that. Sims takes that. And it's the truth, but Sims kind of like, well, that's enough. That is enough to sort of assuage me. Like, yeah, you wouldn't know who she is or what kind of a person she is because you just haven't been around her. Sims sends raiders to his wife and son, Camille and Anthony, sends them to them to give them protection and to make sure they get home safely. And they actually try to see her into her home, and she kind of dissuades them. And mind you, she used to be a raider back in the day, so she sort of knows the protocol. She sort of calls them out on there, like, "Look, I used to be a raider. Go away. I got this. We're fine. You can leave." As she shoos them away, she comes to the home and she notices that there's broken glass where the camera is, and it's kind of shattered. To which point she safely puts Anthony into his room and goes to go see where the intruder may be. And at that point, Jules comes and takes her by the neck and says, "I'm not going to hurt you." What's amazing is that she says she's not going to hurt her, but then she starts holding her by gunpoint. Now, mind you, Jules has no idea how to use a gun. Uh, Not something that she was trained for, not something that she did in mechanical, so she has no idea how to use it. Knows there's Camille tells her there's a bullet in there. She's like, "Well, cool. If I shoot it this close to a range, it's gonna hit something. So do as I say." She wants Camille to chain herself to the bathroom, which Camille's like, "Nah, I can. I'm not chaining myself to something where I can't see where my son is." So at that point, Jules says, "Cool, chain yourself to the kitchen," and that's when they sort of have a dialogue. She lets her know that she used to be a raider, and um, she tries to sort of get in good with Jules, but Jules is kind of like, "Nah, I got some stuff I need to figure out." At that point, Jules plugs the hard drive into the computer that they have there to sort of decrypt it and get some answers and get some information about what it is she thinks George was hiding or wants her to know. Mind you, her son is Anthony is peering through the door and seeing all of this. So he's definitely getting some feelings about like seeing his mom in peril, handcuffed to a pole in the kitchen, and this woman not having their best interest at heart. Billings goes to Jules' place to go check to see if there's any information that he can get on her as to why she would say that she wants to go outside. He's still believing that that's what they told her. That's what they told him. So that's what they're going to go by. Cool. I'm going to go off of that. But he gets stonewalled there. He gets stonewalled by a raider who used to be a class student of his when he was teaching stuff about the pact. So she shows him a little bit more respect than I think a typical raider person would. But she kind of was like, "Yeah, you can't be here, even though you're acting sheriff now," which he is now that Jules is on the lam. Even though you're acting sheriff, yeah, I can't let you in here. I've been told to not let anybody in here whatsoever. So he leaves. Once they clear, he comes back in, barricades the door, and kind of does his own search. He's looking around, he sees, and it's pretty much been wiped clean. There's nothing, almost nothing left in that place. But he sees a piece of glass. He sees a piece of glass and he looks through it, looks through the light, sees that one side, it's a reflection, and the other side he can see through. Like, okay, where was this? And he starts trying to search around for anything that Jules may have left in there. He searches in the vent where Holston left stuff for Jules. Nothing there. But then he gets to the security medicine cabinet. He finds some stuff back there, and he finds the travel guide that she showed to Gloria and that she kept. He takes his good loving time and kind of reads through it page by page, and it stresses him out. You can start seeing he's getting super shaky at that point. It makes him very emotional in the moment because he's starting to realize that a lot of the things that he believed is a bold-faced lie. Clearly, there's more to the world than what the pack was always saying. They've given him and fed him a bunch of BS. He's starting to realize that now, and he takes a page out of the travel guide, keeps it, and then puts the rest of the guide in the oven and sets it on fire. Bernard is back in the office getting tipsy on his own wine. He's getting tipsy when Sims comes in and tells him that, "Hey, look, leads aren't leading anywhere. She's not with Peter, her dad. She's not in mechanical. We don't really have anything. But I do have this. There was a gentleman who was in the cafeteria, who's always in the cafeteria, who works for IT named Lucas, that a note was sent to him from Jules. And then they met shortly thereafter." That's all Bernard needs. A little window in to see if he can find out something as to what it is that Jules is circling around. Meanwhile, back in Sims' place, Jules has opened the hard drive and a command prompt comes up, but she doesn't really know what the hell to put in there. And then she looks at that back of that book, that the passage that Holston and she had a whole bunch of words scratched out and circled and whatnot in the library is circled. She inputs library, and then a whole bunch of just folders just open up. Folders to us, she doesn't really know what they are, but there's a whole bunch of files that open up, and then one of them says "Start here," which just she clicks and starts there. While that is happening, Bernard brings in Lucas, and they have a conversation, and it starts cordial. Bernard's sort of just filling him out, trying to see what it is he knows and what he doesn't know. He sees that he's smart. He sees that he's in IT. He asks him about the stars that he's seeing. Like, what do you think those really are? And then he cuts the BS. He's like, yeah, cool. That was just to soften you up. Real quick, Jules came to see you with a hard drive. And we know this because we could see the video, but we couldn't hear anything because she had the water running, which you knew that was why she was hiding stuff. With the hard drive, what did she want you to do with it? She's like, yeah, but I wouldn't do anything. I didn't do anything. I did nothing. I kind of just left. And Bernard's like, well, that's sort of the problem. You did nothing. And the sheriff brought a hard drive, which is a top level relic, to you, and you didn't inform anybody. And you had multiple chances to do so. You could have done something immediately, but also the raiders came to her place after she broke the glass and everything, and you still did anything. So what do you think I should do with you? Like, some type of punishment has to happen, because you clearly just wanted to sit on the sidelines and not turn her in because you was digging her. You had a bit of a crush, puppy love. Like, what the hell is this? You know the rules here in the silo, so I think we should take you out to the clean. He starts getting really nervous and sketchy and shaky. To which point, Bernard twists a little bit more. It's like, well, cool. If you don't want to get just turned out and me do whatever I want to with you, have you go outside and do some cleaning. What else do you know about that hard drive? Like, what did she want you to do? He's like, she wanted me to crack it. He was okay, cool. Was there any type of numbers or serial numbers on there? He's like, I don't remember. And he pushed a little harder, and eventually remembers, like, oh, no, there was an 18 on it, which is, an 18 is also the number of a little relic piece that Bernard has been running around with this whole time. It's a red light that comes on into it. So there's something more to 18 in this as well. But Bernard immediately freaks out. He grabs him, takes him out. I was like, yo, somebody do something with him. And he and Sims run to the control room and like, look, real quick, I need you guys all to open up and look for a system-wide search of a hard drive with the serial number 18. And they're like, hey guys, real quick, serial numbers always have multiple numbers. Like, nope, this particular one, I need you to do me a favor and just put in 1 and 8 and shut the hell up. And they do. They do a search and they look. While they are searching, Bernard kind of calls Sims over and it's like, look, real quick, I think I may have made a mistake in making you my shadow, because I'm aware that you sent raiders to go get Camille and Anthony protected. And I'm not gonna lie to you, that would probably have been the first thing I would have done too if I had them in my place. But it just makes me think that maybe we did this correctly. Maybe there's somebody else that I should have put in here as opposed to you, a family man. Before they can really get any deeper into that, control room lets them know, like, hey, real quick, we found the hard drive. It's coming from Sims's place. And Sims just books out of there and starts running down, calling all the raiders to meet him at his home. While he's running down there, Jules has clicked the start here portion and seen a video of George. And George talking to us like, have you seen this? It's just dear John Leonard. If you've seen this, I may be sitting next to you or I may be dead. And he's like, I recorded this on a video player, which nobody knows, but that's what this is. Recorded at this. But as the video continues to play, Camille is sort of freeing herself from her cuffs, and she gets free enough and grabs one of the hammers out of this toolbox that was put on the table. And she's about to like hit Jules, and then she sees what the video was saying, and she's like, look, real quick, the second you put that tape in, that hard drive in, they know where you're at. So you can keep watching that video here, or you can get the hell up out of here. To which point, she gets the hell up out of there, because by the time the raiders show up, Jules is gone, and Camille and Anthony are okay. Camille and Anthony are a bit shaken. They're good, and Camille and Sims have a bit of a chat. And Camille lets him know, they're like, I let her go. He gets a little perturbed by that, but he's like, okay. Her whole thing is like, I let her go because there's something bigger at play than just this. We don't really get into depth of that. He has an end goal that apparently Bernard's not even aware of. But he does let Camille know that Bernard sort of questioned me about sitting Raiders here first. And because she is a former Raider, she wanted to know the exact verbiage he used in that. He's like, I don't have time. I got to get back. I don't have time to tell you that. So I think whatever it is they're playing or planning, I feel like while Sims is directly under Bernard, there may be a little bit more to him as far as what it is their goals are for the silo. He is still all in on silo, but I don't necessarily know if he is in it in the way that Bernard is, where Bernard is like, we got to protect these secrets. Sims seems to be doing it more for family as opposed to what Bernard is. I think that story that Sims told about his father being a janitor did sort of mold and shape the decisions that he's making in this while he's doing this for his family. The last piece is that Jules goes and finds solace with Patrick, who we remember a few episodes ago, she helped get off, like people were trying to pin things that this couple of those murders on Patrick, and she's like, nah, he ain't got nothing to do with this. So she feels like, hey, I can probably go here because he kind of owes me one. She goes there, and Patrick is holding her, and he calls down a favor to who's the best IT person, not named Lucas, that would probably be willing to do this. He comes in there, he feels a little taken aback, but he comes in there and he breaks down what's on the hard drive and gets to the same point that Jules was at before. You click on the start here piece, watch the video. It's a bit more private, more of a love letter to Jules. So Patrick and the IT guy kind of step away, and Jules has a one-on-one moment. And in this, we hear that George is kind of like, look, honestly, I was going to do what I usually do, is get the information that I want from you and then leave and move on to the next person. But I fell in love, and I actually did love you, and it made it very difficult. And I couldn't just up and run like I normally did. And then I got caught. But he says, you followed all the rules. You followed everything here. You got to this point. You got to the clues. And I found the door. And maybe I'm not here because I found it, but I found the door, and it's below that water. The water that she was hanging in and kind of saw from the episode 2 where she just came back up the rope. It's like the door's down there. That's where the answers are. That's where everything is. And also, you're going to want to click on the file folder here that says Jane Carmody Cleaning, which she does afterwards. And when she does so, she clicks it and opens it. And then she calls Patrick and the IT gentleman back over. And she's like, Jesus, the display in the cafeteria is a lie. Because Jane's camera shows that it is completely blue skies, green and clear, and birds chirping out there. So everything that they've been built upon has been built on lies. And whatever is that 18 that he's holding, whatever this hard drive is, all the other answers are on there. It is built to protect and keep lock in all those. And Bernard knows that it's a lie. So I don't know if everybody else is aware. It's clear that all the Flamekeepers had some inkling of this, but Bernard seems to be the only one. I don't think Sims is fully aware of this. But eyes are being opened now, and like this big conspiracy. It's like they're living in a world where outside may be perfectly fine. But now you kind of question, why the hell was this all built? And why are they keeping everybody here? What's the purpose for keeping everybody here? Now I'm even more like, oh, what the hell is about to happen? Penultimate episode, that's a good way to end that one. I would say that also Billings has had his eyes open because he puts his pact away. And it seems like now, for the first time, a person who's been so much to be on the line, he may now be kind of like in that little gray area. If he finds Jules again, he may kind of help her out in whatever quest she needs to find to get to that door and see what's on the other side. Of course, this has to end. This probably is going to end with us, now that we know that we have a second season, it's probably going to end with us not finding out what's on the other side of that door, but her getting really close to that door, maybe having her hand on that door underwater when opening, and then we just don't see what's happening. But even if that's the case, I'm okay with that, because this is playing like fantastic television. This dystopian sci-fi is my sweet spot, and they are killing this game right now. The intricacies, the character development, the layers on layers. You think for a minute that Jules is in trouble, and then this Raider Camille is former Raider Camille is like, nope, I'm gonna let you go, because whatever it is she's finding out here, I don't want any of that done in my house, and I need you to get the hell up out of here, because it seems like she's like doing it because she wants to help Jules, but she's not. She's really doing it because she has a selfish reason about whatever she and Sims are trying to do. So a lot of layers being built here, a lot of pieces, still fantastic television, and I can't wait to the season finale. Uh, this one obviously was a little bit behind time wise of where I normally do. I usually do them right then, but life has changed a little bit for me. So I'm still going to try to get these on time within at least the 24-hour period. But what did you guys think about this episode of Silo called The Getaway? Go ahead and leave your thoughts and comments in the comments below. If you haven't already, you can follow us on Twitter at HollywoodADI. You can hit us up on email at HollywoodAlreadyDidIt@gmail.com. We also have a podcast with the same name. That's on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, any other place podcasts. We're there. And like always, I got my ticket. You got yours.